He was going to be our third roommate.
He helped out with the rent. Then he helped himself to your girlfriend.
Correct.
Hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie-coochie someplace else.
Is suing his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, for rent and the cost of 2 cats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy.
Case 2170, Jolie versus Calderon Nepomuceno.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, my goodness.
Judy turns to Katie.
Calderon,
Hello.
what's your first name?
Amante.
Amante.
Yeah.
Good. It's much easier than your last name for you to pronounce. Mr. Giglio, this roughly is what the case is about. You and Miss Calderon were in a relationship for a period of time. You decided to take an apartment. You were both on the lease. So far, correct?
Correct.
Your arrangement with Miss Calderon, which seems to be consistent in both your complaint and your answer, is that you had a much better paying job. She was going to provide the food and some other stuff for the house, and you were going to be covering the rent when you lived together, which you did.
Correct.
There came a time when Amante, who was a friend of yours, came to live with you. According to you, he was going to help out with the rent.
Correct.
He came, he lived with you, he helped out with the rent for maybe a period of time, and then he helped himself to your girlfriend.
Correct.
Now they're a couple. When you were no longer a couple with Miss Calderon, she stayed in the apartment for a period of time, but then they both left.
Correct.
And you're suing both of them for rent and for the return of 2 cats that they took when they left. You claim the cats are yours.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. And some cat expenses in the event that I let them keep the cat. Cats, 2 cats. So when did you and Miss Calderon sign a lease together?
We signed the lease together at the end of July with the landlord present.
July of 2022?
July of 2021. Correct.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
And you had a job working for whom, sir?
I worked for a company called Steris.
What do they do?
They provide medical equipment to hospitals all over the world.
How long have you been working for them?
I'm going to have 8 years under my belt this year.
And when you moved into the apartment in July of 2021, what kind of work was Miss Calderon doing?
At the time, she was working at I want to say an animal hotel.
It was a pet daycare boarding facility.
Okay. Were you an hourly employee?
I was an hourly employee.
And I am correct that when you moved in July, your arrangement was that you were going to pay the rent.
That was
The arrangement.
correct.
When did Armante come to live with you?
About August to
That's
Right.
incorrect.
Shh.
he
Just,
Judy glares at Katie.
Amante was going to be our third roommate.
you mean 1, 2, 3?
Correct.
Well, you're not roommates, really. You and the defendant, Miss Calderon, were not roommates. You shared a room.
We shared a room and
And Armante was going to live where?
in another room.
And what was your arrangement with Armante with regard to paying rent?
We would split the rent 3 ways.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much was your share of the rent?
I would say approximately 927.
How long did you live there?
I was there when they signed the lease. I watched it all happen when they signed the lease. I came in, they signed
Okay.
everything.
Well, you didn't sign the lease,
I did not.
but you were there from the beginning?
Yes.
And it was your agreement with the plaintiff that you would pay a third of the rent?
Yes.
Great.
We asked the landlord
Okay,
to.
so, hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie-coochie someplace else. So you agreed with the plaintiff that despite the fact that you were not on the lease, you were going to assume the responsibility of a third of the rent, $927.
Yes.
So you moved in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You left in April?
Yeah.
So you were there for 9 months.
Yes.
Did you pay rent for the 9 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
He paid rent for about the 7.5 months.
Okay. And then you left.
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I decided to leave because he decided to go to another place he was offered. So
What do you
I
mean he
could-
decided to go to another place
He
that was...
got a place from his grandparents in another city. So I couldn't hold down the rent with her, so I decided to leave to save money and go back to my parents' house.
Now, Mr. Jalil, you see, you don't make up a story like that, like he just told me. A lot of that has the ring of truth to it. Where are you living now?
My grandparents' house in an in-law unit
So when did you tell them that you were going to a different place?
in March.
When did you leave?
I left in July.
Did you let him know that you were staying until the end of the lease?
I
What?
I
What?
I discussed with them that I would be leaving, but I would stick around to help them find either a different location or even suggesting that we all went back to our respected families just to, call it.
Mr. Jalil, this isn't working for you. I have to tell you something, sir. This case is not working for you at all. And it's only because Mr. Amante is very direct with me that you're suing them for $10,000. Where does that come from in your mind? Your agreement with her was you were going to pay the rent. You were never out of pocket. Your agreement was you were going to pay the rent. He paid his rent when he was there. He paid his 1/3. You then told them you were leaving. That's a whole different story than what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Jalil. Do you understand?
Correct.
It's a whole different story. So, at best, Armante would owe you for 3 months' rent if they just left. But you told them that you were leaving. Now, when did you find out that they were a couple?
I found out at the end of April.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
So you just had 2 months left to the lease. So he was paying you, he paid you in March, you had May, June, you signed the lease in July, so it was over at the end of June, June 30th.
It would have been over at the end of July, Your Honor.
Well, she doesn't owe you any money for rent. At most, he owes you 2 months' rent. Tell me why you left.
My job doesn't pay that well, so I decided to go back to my parents' house.
When you took this apartment, this expensive apartment that was almost $3,000 a month rent, had you had a discussion with Armante about moving in with you before?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jalil, I'm reading your complaint because something wasn't registering right with me. You say you moved into the apartment together in August of 2021. Then you go through a whole bunch of stuff about a cat and then another adopted cat. You said in October we adopted a second cat. Around this same time, a third roommate moved in to shoulder some of the rent. Well, that's not true. He moved in right at the beginning.
And that was
That was what?
that was
A mistake.
that was a mistake.
Okay. But Armante acknowledges that he agreed right at the beginning. He volunteered the fact that he was there at the lease signing because it was agreed at the lease signing that he was going to pay a third of the rent. So, sir, you owe him rent as long as you show me that you've paid the rent. You moved out in July,
Yes.
and you paid your rent through July, or were you evicted?
No, I paid my rent in July.
Through July?
Yes.
Okay. 1854. Armante, you owe him $1,854. That's for 2 months' rent. Got it?
Okay.
I'm not subtracting anything because you stole his girlfriend.
That's fair.
Caption. Coming up.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case?
Either the return of both cats or $5,000.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil.
And later today,
There were restrictions put on the space.
No.
You have to pay attention,
Okay.
sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kamar, Katie, and Amante.
Kamar Jalil claims his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, are wrongfully keeping his cats and owe him rent money.
Now let's deal with the issue with the cats. She doesn't owe you any rent. That was not your agreement with her. You moved out in July, August, September, October, November, December. 5 months ago, she's had both cats, right?
Correct.
She says they're her cats. When did you first file a small claims case?
September of 2022.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case? Be careful.
I was requesting either the return of both cats or $5,000, which was the accumulated expense of not just the cats, but also the expenses of her dogs as well. So any animal expenses for
Okay.
the time.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil. When the cats were either registered or went to the vet, whose name is on the sheet as owner?
I believe it was Miss Calderon.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And she owns the cats, and she's had them for the last 5 months. I suggest that you go and adopt 2 more if you want some more cats. Do you understand?
Yes.
You were living together as a couple. However, your friend Armante has to pay you for the couple of months' rent that he didn't, because he says, not you, he volunteered that was your agreement from the very beginning. So he owes you $1,854. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think he's just kind of butthurt that I moved on.
At least now I can put everything behind me and say that I did try.
I didn't think it would escalate this far.
All you can do in a situation like this is just you learn from it and you move on.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
This is what it is. It's life.
Judy.
I find fascinating, Sarah, that people will write and or be assisted in writing a complaint and an answer, but they read it over. This man is an intelligent man. He has a serious job for 8 years. First of all, he was suing for $10,000. Come up with that money. $5,000 for the cat's expenses, ridiculous. But his complaint had really nothing to, even the timeline.
As your clerk, I know that is a pet peeve of yours when
I don't understand
they
it.
don't match up.
If you're going to tell a lie,
At least tell a consistent lie.
right.
I think the right thing happened. I think the defendant friend admitted himself that he owed the
Well-
rent, and that was great, even though he probably should have just kept his mouth
Zipped it
shut. But,
and not said, I was there when the lease was signed. This was always our agreement.
Yeah.
I was going to be the
but
third
he was
roommate.
honest, which we always appreciate. And so I think the right
You
thing
know, so
happened. I think he needs to, like you say, put a period, move on.
move on. Anyway, all happy, and they look happy. They couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Case number 2172, Foster Gardner versus Menzel. All parties, please come forward.
Jamar Foster and Sean Garner are suing record producer Livin Menzel for event costs after Livin canceled their Halloween party.
Who's Mr. Garner? Mr. Foster.
Right here.
Are you going to be speaking? You're standing in the speaking spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. According to what I read, the defendant rents a music studio. Is that correct?
I rent a facility in which I own a music studio.
You rent in someone else's building.
Yes.
And you're recording people. During the course of your business, you decided to enter into an agreement with the defendant to use that recording studio, which she rents from, that space which she rents from a landlord.
May I correct you, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
She actually is a facility that has multiple units in it. She runs a studio, and then there's other event space inside of that same facility.
Okay, give me an idea of how large the space is.
I believe we were quoted something like 5,800 square feet.
And so you have a music studio, and around it is other open space.
Yes,
You decided to go into some sort of a business with her. You wanted to run events,
yes, ma'am.
social events, nothing to do with the music studio.
Absolutely not.
Is that correct?
Yes,
And according to you, you gave her $6,000,
yes, ma'am.
sort of front money, to start using that space.
Yes, ma'am.
Subsequent to giving her the money, according to you, there were restrictions put on the space, on the number of people you could have, the kind of parties you could have, et cetera.
No, absolutely. I apologize.
Well, you have to pay attention,
Okay.
sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay, let me, okay,
So, is really in your favor, so you have to think.
okay.
Subsequent to giving her, that means after giving her the money, restrictions were put on the kinds of events and the number of people you could have in the space. Is that true or not true?
That is absolutely true.
No, that's not.
Just, I'll get to you in a second.
Okay.
And you want your $6,000 back.
Yes, ma'am. In
That's what
addition
it's
to-
about. The defendant does not deny that you gave her $6,000. And then I'm going to hear what her defense is. So I want you to tell me, when, for the first time, did you have a discussion with the defendant about going into this business venture where you would front the money and whatever events you would have there, you would reap the benefit, the financial benefit from that? When did you have that discussion with her?
Okay, so we met living at the end of August of 2022. We actually signed the agreement pretty fast. We signed the contract agreement on September 1st.
May I see the agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
There was no agreement signed, so I don't know how it could be signed.
She keeps arguing that.
Just a second. Could you be quiet?
Yes, ma'am.
Jamar hands the document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
So in your hands,
Shh. What's
that's the studio that she runs?
Sarah? You have to sort of explain it because I don't see signatures. You know, I'm used to looking at contracts where people sign things, but I know you can sign things by DocuSign now. Your signature isn't on here.
Yes, ma'am.
And
That looks like a signature from a DocuSign or some sort of online.
okay, is that you?
This was a proposal that I did. I do not even own it yet as a DBA.
Just a second. It's getting better. Don't say anything. This is your proposal. Now I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And your masterpiece management.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, so this is sort of easy. You prepared this proposal. Speak.
Yes, after.
Just a second.
Okay.
You
Yes, ma'am.
prepared this proposal.
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of this proposal, you received and deposited $6,000.
Yes.
Yes, well, then you have a binding contract, okay?
Okay.
So that's what I'm telling you. You have a binding contract. And there is nothing in this contract that limits the kinds of events or the number of people or anything else with regard to this space. All it says is business activities, event planning, and event rentals. Nothing else. And this is your proposal, so the terms of it are construed if there's any material question, since you prepared the agreement, which became a contract once you accepted their $6,000. I view the terms of the agreement most harshly against you because you prepared the document. And it says, this agreement cannot be amended without the written consent of all parties.
Yes.
Yes, so signed the agreement, you got the money, and then at some point, according to them and according to you, you made certain limitations on the kinds of events, the numbers of people, et cetera.
That is.
Now that happened according to you because you do not own that space, you rent that space, and there was a problem with the first party that they threw.
Correct.
Come on, we're not talking about Gone with the Wind here. We're not talking about a 6-volume masterpiece. We're talking about a yes or a no.
Caption, coming up.
Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. Pump, that's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jamar, Sean, and Livin.
Jamar Foster and Sean Garner claim record producer Livin Manziel broke their agreement by canceling their event. Livin is countersuing for the costs of a recording session.
Okay, there was a party that got out of hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and after that party that got out of hand, too many people or whatever it was, your landlord complained.
Yes.
Okay, and it was after that that you told your two partners that
We are not partners.
Yeah, according to this, you are.
We didn't finalize the agreement.
This is a finalized agreement, madam. I just said to you, I want you to pay attention. This is your proposal. Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. Pump, that's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
Okay.
You prepared the proposal, you signed it, they said, okay, and they fulfilled their part of the agreement by giving you $6,000, which you accepted. Got it? Got it? And you can't, according to the agreement that you prepared, modify this agreement any other way than a written contract signed by both parties. You can't change the rules. Did you know that this was rented space?
We didn't have all of the details about the place.
Well, see, next time you should know what you're dealing with, whether she's the owner or whether she's not the owner, whether she's a renter, whether she has the ability to rent out to sublease for events. I mean, all of these things, before you give somebody $6,000, you should know that. Okay. And you had one event at the space?
No, we actually didn't get an opportunity to throw any events at the space at all. The event that you were speaking of, she had partnered with another group of promoters and individuals to throw that party. So you
didn't have anything to do with that? What was it, a Halloween party or something? It was a Halloween party, but that wasn't with you.
No, that wasn't.
Is that correct?
He was a part of the event.
Is that correct that
No.
it was with other people?
Yes, it was correct. It was with other people. They were just associated with the event. They worked at the event. And
I don't
so-
care whether they worked at the event. You received money from other people for an event.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's be clear. And after that event, you imposed additional restrictions on the use of the space.
No, Your
Justice,
Honor.
hold on a second.
They knew about the event.
Hold on, you can't tell me what they knew. This is your contract.
They called a fire marshal.
My landlord contacted me that the neighbors were complaining, people were parking on their lawns 90 minutes into the party, but it was not their party, somebody else paid you for it. The next party they wanted to throw involved minors, and I told them absolutely not.
Yes, ma'am.
I just made it clear what types of events would be approved. Well, you can't do that. I'm just telling you, you can't do that.
Ma'am, I'm not allowed to throw events that have out drugs for children.
You have to understand something. You can do whatever you want as long as you put it in a contract. You prepared the contract. This contract is silent as to any restrictions on the space for events. So you have to give them their $6,000 back because they didn't have an event. They got nothing of value for their $6,000.
Correction. They were managing an artist whenever I met them that they were responsible for paying. So I'm countersuing them for $1,050.
Just a second.
Okay.
$6,000 they get back.
Okay.
Easy? That's a contract case. Now, you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for $1,000 because you say they owe you that for a rental that they did for an artist that they manage.
I provided my services as a recording artist and a music producer for their artists. I provided them with 2 exclusive beats.
Well, show me the contract with them.
I have.
Just show me the contract with them.
There was no contract.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,000. Counterclaim dismissed. We're done. Thank you very
This court
much.
is adjourned.
I was just trying to have a proposal, not a finalized agreement.
Well, I appreciate us getting some type of justice out of the situation.
They came in wanting to do multiple things, and I was excited for my small business.
We tried as much as we could to help out and make sure that we increase the revenue streams inside of that business.
They're actually going to be hosting hookahs with children at your event in your space. I'm not comfortable with that.
To ever associate us with any type of drug use or abuse, especially involving children, that was just an inaccurate claim.
I think it's better just to part ways.
Move over to bigger and better things.
Sarah.
I was going to tell you I had the invitation, per se, for the event for Halloween that they had put together. So they put a lot of time and effort into planning the party. It seemed very legitimate. There was notes about security. There was notes about no alcohol, food and drink will be provided. So I could tell that they had put in a lot of effort to hosting this event. And although it wasn't a malicious breach on the defendant's part, I understand she hosted a party that had nothing to do with the plaintiffs, that she got into a little bit of hot water. So to be cautious, she was letting them know, hey, I can't host these types of events with a lot of people. It makes the street too crowded, whatever the reason. However, I disagree with you because I would have given them the full $10,000 that they were asking because although not a malicious breach, and I understand her concern after having the incident with the previous party, but that's not their fault.
You believe that the difference between the cost of one venue to another should be ascribed to them. It's interesting, but the $6,000 was to cover a lot of events. This is one event. So
I see your point now that you put it that way. I just
maybe,
think if you were going to make them whole, they should receive their expectant damages as well, or whatever they relied on based on the contract.
I accept your
Point of
opinion
view. Sure.
and perspective.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You work taking care of his mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she get paid?
No one had their paperwork taken care of yet.
He stated out of his mouth he would pay out of pocket.
No, Your Honor.
You think that she should work for free? You can either make it easy or make it hard.
This is Judy Justice. Tracy Gallen is suing her client, Ronald Webster, for unpaid wages while working as a homemaid.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge.
How are you, Kevin?
Good, good. Case 2168, Gallen versus Webster.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judge Judy turns to Tracy.
Miss Gallen, you are a home health aide.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to any particular school or have any training to be a home health aide?
Well, I went to CNA nursing school. So I'm
CNA? What is that?
certified nursing assistant.
And you've been doing that for over a decade?
Correct.
Do you need any license in the state where you're from in order to be a CNA?
CNA, yes. Caregiver, no.
But you have a license from CNA?
Yes, ma'am, and also have a license for a medical assistant.
Now, there came a time when you answered some sort of an ad by Mr. Webster. Mr. Webster had a mother who was ill and needed some assistance in caring for her. Are you a working man, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a caterer and a DJ, and also a driver.
Do you get any salary from any of those jobs?
It ranges from job to job.
Usually, how much?
For DJing, a couple hundred.
Couple hundred for how many hours?
It's basically by the job, the location, things of that nature. So it can vary.
Caterer.
Catering, we're building a family business, so basically getting started with it. Probably made as much as $1,800 before for a catering event. So again, it was brand new prior to the pandemic.
Okay, and what's your steadiest source of income?
Driving as of now.
How much do you make approximately an hour driving?
Now, probably $22 with the subtractions for
$22 an hour?
Yes.
Is that with or without your tips?
That's with tips.
Did you always live with your mother?
I lived with her for quite some time.
Say within the last 10 years.
Within the last 10 years, I moved out 3.5 years ago. Due to illness, I was staying with her, so I was not really able to work. During that time, I went to school to become a caterer, cook, etc., culinary school, business school, because I did have aspirations to open a restaurant eventually, or a catering business eventually.
So you didn't live with your mother for the last 3.5 years?
No, Your Honor.
What kind of illness did she have?
My mother was diagnosed initially with COPD. I forgot exactly what those words are, but it's a pulmonary, it's with her
I know
breathing.
it's COPD, it's a pulmonary disease.
You're better than me. Then there's also emphysema, along with some other things that I was not made aware of until she passed away.
How old was she?
68 years old.
A kid?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long was she bedridden? From when to when?
November 23rd until her death date of April 30th.
So all the time that the plaintiff took care of her, she was bedridden?
Yes, Your Honor.
And was your mother pretty strong-willed?
Yes, very much so, Your Honor.
And the COPD and emphysema was in all probability, at least in part, if not in all, attributed to her smoking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, according to your complaint, Ms. Gallion, you worked for Mr. Webster in taking care of his mother, with whom he didn't live. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did anyone else live with her?
My son lived with her.
How old is he?
He's 29 years old now.
What does he do?
He was working at the time for Tesla.
He was, but he's no longer.
No longer.
But at this time, he was working for Tesla?
He was working for Tesla.
The whole time?
Yes, Your Honor. The whole time
right?
from being released from the hospital up until her death day, yes, Your Honor.
Now, the house belonged to your mother?
Via rent, but yes, Your Honor.
She rented it?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was a rentor?
Yes, Your Honor.
So her grandson just stayed there with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he slept there, and you were supposed to come during the day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Monday through Friday?
Monday through Saturday.
Okay. Now, do you have the ad that you got from the defendant?
I do.
May I see it, Kevin, please?
Kevin collects a document from Tracy, then brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Thank you.
I also have the messages, Your Honor, from that ad.
Let me just read this. Okay, so you were asking for somebody good to take care of your mother because she was a great caretaker all of her life.
Yes, Your
Very
Honor.
nice.
All of my life.
All of your life.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in it, he says IHSS for now. Would you explain what that is?
It's in-home supportive services.
From the federal government or the state?
From the state, if I'm not mistaken.
And you are from the state of?
California.
Well, this is what he wrote. So when you spoke to him with the same parameters of your employment as contained in his ad, that you would be working for IHSS for now, maybe more in the future. I don't know what that means. I assume it means that if it works out, you'd be paying her in addition to what she was making with IHSS.
No, Your Honor, I don't.
What does it mean? IHSS for now.
Yes.
Maybe more. What does that maybe more mean?
I honestly can't recollect what that meant. I am aware that I did send that text message or that Facebook post.
Is there anything in any of the text messages you have that indicates what maybe more is?
Yeah, just verbally, he stated out of his mouth that anything extra, him and his son would pay out of pocket.
Okay, extra like what?
Extra hours, if the hours that I agreed to work to, if it needed to be extended my traveling time, my toll from where I was driving from. He was supposed to
Reimburse you
Yes,
for.
ma'am.
Is that correct, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Now, you started working when?
February 24th was my first day.
From February 24th until April what?
23rd.
And that was 6 days a week?
It varied because depending on my schedule, so every other week I would work Monday through Friday, and then the additional weeks I'll work Monday through Saturday.
So it's between 5 and 6 days a week. And how many hours a day were you working?
5.
So when you came into work, was the grandson still there?
Sometimes he was, sometimes he wasn't.
And if he wasn't, Miss Webster was alone?
Correct.
And when you left, was she alone?
Yes, ma'am.
And then hopefully the son came back to assist her at night.
From my understanding, there was another caregiver that was supposed to be there at nighttime, which I never saw, so I'm not sure.
Did you have another caregiver there at night?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who was that?
Her name was...
How long was she there?
You mean her work time or her duration of employment?
Duration of employment.
The same time that Tracy started.
Did she get paid?
I'm not aware of
Just a second. Did you fill out papers for...
Your Honor...
That says it...
No.
If you didn't fill out papers for her, then either she was working for nothing or she got paid from you directly. Before you answer me, you had a nighttime person who was hired at the same time the plaintiff was. Either she was paid from an agency, or she was paid from you, or she did it gratuitously. What was it?
Caption, coming up.
Had your son ever applied to be caregiver for your mother? Think carefully before you answer that question, because this one knows all. Had your son ever applied to be your mother's caregiver?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, makes it so easy.
Whitney grins. The courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Tracy and Ronald.
Tracy Gallen claims her client, Ronald Webster, owes for unpaid wages.
Now, the agency, was she paid from an agency?
Yes.
Don't say yes if she was not. If she was not paid by the agency because she didn't get paid, then say she never got any money from the agency. And if you never filled out any paperwork, she couldn't have gotten paid by the agency.
Correct.
Well, why don't you just...
Let me rephrase that, because this is where the trepidation comes along. Neither of the caregivers were properly inputted into in-home supportive care system. So there's an allotment that is allowed where caregivers can work in hopes of having a large lump sum payment once they get their paperwork, background check, and everything else taken care of. So up until the 29th, no one had gotten paid because no one had their paperwork taken care of yet. So it's on the 29th when that starts to come about. So I personally never signed any paperwork for neither of the caregivers.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. That's what he's saying. Okay. So he signed no paperwork. And she worked for you from February to March, March to April, for 2 months. How much did you pay her in the 2 months that she worked there?
Out of my pocket, I paid her $110 with a caveat. It was the first time that she worked on a Saturday. I asked her to do so because I had...
Just tell me how much you paid her.
$110.
Anything else?
Because I had a calendar DJing event. I was not fielding anything up until that point.
Mr. Webster.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
You seem like a nice man. It's going to cost you money. You can either make it easy or make it hard. From February to April, did your son work?
Yes, Your Honor. He worked at Tesla.
Then I'm not finished with you with that. Your son worked for Tesla. I assume Tesla paid him.
I'm assuming he got paid too, Your Honor.
And when you worked as a caterer, I assume you got paid.
I was not working as a caterer during that time, Your Honor.
Were you working as a driver during that time?
I did work as a driver during that time, Your Honor.
Did you get paid?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prior to the plaintiff getting hired and this other woman, had your son ever applied to be caregiver for your mother? Think carefully before you answer that question. Think very carefully, because this one knows all. Had your son ever applied to be your mother's caregiver?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Oh, makes it so easy.
Whitney grins.
And when did he apply to be your mother's caregiver?
According to the information I have, which I was just made aware of.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lot of... Your son is in your mother's house.
Yes.
You're there all the time because you're interested in your mother. You are the next of kin. You have to sign off. Did your son sign up to be your mother's caregiver, and when? Give me the month, day and year that he signed up?
According to the paperwork I have, I'd have to look at it because I don't...
Look at it. You can look at it, digest it. Give me the date.
Ronald consults a document.
See, Sarah, it's what's on paper doesn't always make sense, right?
Yeah.
You know?
You figure it out along the way.
Follow the money.
Yeah, always.
Always got to follow the money.
Leads you right to where you want to be.
Let's go.
According to the paperwork I have here, his paperwork was started on August of 2021.
When was it signed?
It does not state that.
And she started working in February. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So between August and February, Mr. Webster, who took care of your mother?
My son lived with her. He's, according to this, I was not privy to this information before.
Let me understand something.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is not a House Select Committee investigation, sir. This is just a court where I'm trying to figure out who took care of your mother, who was unable to take care of herself from August until February when you got another caregiver, and whether that person was signed up to get in-home health benefits. So the answer is, partially I know that your son, who lives with her rent-free...
No. I'm sorry, not with my mother, not rent-free.
Lives with her.
Yes.
Maybe not, then maybe Kevin and I are paying the rent. You never can tell. I don't know how much, and I can't ask you how much money your son made between August and February, but maybe she got a little too difficult for him to deal with because at the end stages of being sick that way, you require a lot more help than you want your grandson to take care of. And so you needed somebody else. Now, I've just about, Mr. Webster, reached the end of creating the picture in this case, but the plaintiff was there, and so far you've given her $100 in 2 months. You got paid during that time period. Your son who worked for Tesla got paid during that time period. You can bet your bottom booty that I got paid during that period because I worked. Nobody said to me, well, you didn't get your form in right there. We're not paying you. Really, you're not paying me. You can find me today getting my pedicure. She stayed, even though she didn't get paid. Now, if she didn't work for you, could you or your son have gone out to do their other work? Or would you have left your mother alone? What would you have done?
Possibly made other arrangements, Your Honor.
Possibly.
Possibly.
You mean get another sucker to work for free? You think that she should work for free? You think that she should work for free?
No, Your Honor, but I don't think she should smoke cigarettes with my mother alone.
Listen, you have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is stupid.
Okay.
Your counterclaim is stupid. You just told me before your mother is the kind of woman that would do exactly what she wants to do. And what you think yourself, since you're not there and off doing your thing, somebody who's terminally ill, not getting better. You knew that, right?
I did know that.
You did know that. And if your mother chose an easier way to go than the one you selected for her, that would have been her prerogative. That's also a fair statement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you didn't like the caring that she did for your mother, but actually her leaving had to do with your not paying her. You didn't fire her. Okay, let's put it this way. Did you fire her?
No, Your Honor, because I did not have the power to do
No.
so.
You did not fire her.
No, Your Honor.
That's not
Who
true,
put in?
Your Honor.
Who is Ron Webster?
I am Ronald.
You hired her.
No, Your Honor.
Well, this is you. Need a good caregiver for my mom. Need. That means I need.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, let's go to one other place, okay? And then I'll let you talk. Right now, it doesn't seem to be that you're losing, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tracy grins. Caption, coming up.
In March, Miss Gallen, where's my money? You know, I'm taking care of your mom. There's no money. What does he say?
He kept blaming it on IHS. He needed to talk to them, and IHS just kept responding to me and was just like, he's crazy.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Tracy and Ronald.
Tracy Gallen is accusing her client, Ronald Webster, of refusing to pay her after caring for his mother. Ronald claims Tracy smoked cigarettes and marijuana while working.
How much do you think the time that she worked there, taking care of your mother, was worth?
Your Honor, I personally cannot put a price on that. I know she's contracted through IHSS for $16 per hour.
Did your mother have a life insurance policy?
My mother had a couple of life insurance policies, yes.
What were they, and who were the beneficiaries?
I was a beneficiary
Of
both
one.
of
How
them.
much?
The total was $3,700, Your Honor.
Did she have a separate policy for her burial?
No, Your Honor.
Did she own any property anywhere?
No, Your Honor.
So what was the total you received from the estate?
The policies was set to pay $1,300, which I have not received all.
You mean in addition to the $3,700, you'll receive another $1,300?
13,000 is what I meant to say. If I
Oh,
said 1,300, I misspoke. 13,000.
13,000.
Total. Okay.
How much did you pay for the internment, the service, if there was one, whatever? How much did you pay? You paid for it, I assume, out of this money.
I have not done all the math. It's upwards of $15,000 or so, as I'm still.
You haven't done all the math.
I'm still
Fine.
making payments.
How much are you owed?
I have it there, 26. The whole breakdown is,
And that's,
the amount was $29.12 minus the
that's-
$300.
You say he gave you $300, not $140.
Correct.
Okay.
He cashed at me $300.
My question is that at $16 an hour,
Yes, ma'am.
which is what you would have made?
Correct.
Do you have any other evidence to support the fact that he was helping you or that he agreed that this money was due and owed to you?
I have the email here where he was asking me to send a total of hours what he owed me.
May I see that, Kevin, please?
Kevin collects a document from Tracy, then brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
And then this is also the payment that he did pay me, the $300.
Well, this is from you.
Yeah, he asked me
him.
to send that to him because he kept acting
No,
confused.
but this is from you to him.
Correct.
Can I see your answer to this when she sends you this
I don't
document?
have that email.
Well,
And
do you have...
I'm not sure if there's an answer. I could check my phone.
No. Okay. Now, in March, Miss Gallen, where's my money? You know, I'm taking care of your mom. There's no money. What does he say?
He kept blaming it on IHS. He needed to talk to them, and IHS just kept responding to me and was just like, he's crazy. I don't
Yeah.
know why he keep reaching out to us. We keep repeating the same thing.
He said he never
has to
filled
pay
out
you.
forms.
Also, this is the contract that he signed stating that I am the IHS provider. If there's any extra fees that was over the hours that were allowed for her, that he would have to cover out of his pocket.
No, he said he never filled out these forms.
Well, no, that is the contract that he signed. We have to sign that with IHS first to approve me even being the worker for his mom. So once they approved me and I went through orientation, he signed that. He would be responsible for the hours. I kind of marked it on there where it states that this is the contract and this, this is what comes with it. Also, here are the timesheets I submitted.
Okay. Not necessary. He acknowledges that he didn't pay you any more than, he says 100, you said 3. That's actually in your favor. $2,612. I suggest you take it out of the $13,000 that you received from your mother's life insurance. I'm sure she would like her caregiver paid, the one who took care of her in the last couple of months of her life. Your counterclaim, which is ridiculous, is dismissed as for the reasons I already said. The fact that the defendant may have either smoked with or allowed your mother to smoke in the last couple of years of her life is ridiculous. You're the one who said to me, my mother is my mother is my mother. She'll do what she wants to do. Not something like that. Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're done. So's your counterclaim. $2,600.
This court is adjourned.
My mom's death, I've been doing everything I can to make sure that she was taken care of. And, it's unfortunate.
I'm really happy with the decision today. I was glad that she was able to see through all the lies and everything.
The plaintiff would give her cigarettes to stash for her so she would not overindulge herself smoking cigarettes.
Yes, I would go and get her the cigarettes because that was her last thing that she wanted, so.
At best, while taking care of my mom, she did a pretty good job with that. I've never denied that. I've also wanted her to get paid.
Just blamed it on IHHS and there was no really reason for him not to pay me at all.
I've been ready to put it behind me. This has been a nightmare since my mom's death and right before that. So I'm certainly glad to get it behind me.
I really did give her the best care that I could, She was happy. She was very happy, so I'm okay with everything.
Sarah.
Cases like this are sad, but it really shines the light on the whole sector that is elder law. And there's so many federal and state programs to make the elderly and vulnerable feel more comfortable, to be able to stay in their home, to be able to pick their own provider. But unfortunately, because of all the overlap and lack of oversight, there's a lot of fraud that takes place with the most vulnerable population. And like you were just talking about, your mother is the one that you rely on for a majority of your younger years, to keep you alive, bathe you, feed you. And towards the end, it's just unfortunate that they don't receive the same care as we do in the beginning.
Yeah, that not being watched as carefully by the people that they cared for.
Yeah, but the plaintiff here surprised me. I mean, working 2 months, 5 days a week.
And she stuck with the job.
For no money and no real end in sight for when she was going to be paid. I respect her for that. She obviously cares about her business and about her craft as being a healthcare worker, so I appreciate that, but it shouldn't fall on kind-hearted people like that to take care of our elderly.
Maybe. Not sure. Yeah. I think that not everybody is fortunate enough to have children.
Yeah.
If you have children that fit into that mold. And I think that it's wonderful that the state, for those people that don't have loving families to support them if they're sick or elderly, for the state to provide a mechanism for those people to get from their bed to a bathroom, to another room, to a meal, perhaps. I think it's wonderful. I think that this country, Sarah, can't do everything.
Yeah.
And I know that we discussed a moment ago, not bringing in another case, but to me, when you don't give money to somebody who did work in the betterance of society, and you send stimulus money to prisoners who were there because they did something wrong, and you send $1.2 billion in stimulus money to people who are serving life terms in prison, to me, doesn't make sense. But perhaps somebody will straighten me out a couple of cases from now.
Maybe, we'll see.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You were in an accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the car fixed?
Not at all.
Why not?
Why it didn't get fixed? Because she popped up to my home and caused drama.
And you hit them?
That was my... Oh, sorry.
Am I wrong about that?
No, ma'am.
No, then don't speak.
This is Judy. Selena Brown and Trayon Dupree are suing their customer, Brianna Freeman, for rental car damage and lost wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2174, Brown Dupree versus Freeman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, who's the business person?
That's us.
That would be you?
Yes.
Your name is Mr. Dupree.
Mr. Dupree.
You a couple?
No, ma'am. It's business partners.
In what business?
Car rental.
How do you know each other?
We met from the military.
So you're not a couple, you're just in business together. I just want to know. Don't both smile. I just want to know. Let's go.
We're friends.
Yeah, we're friends. We're friends.
What? This is not going to happen for me.
We're not a couple. We know we're friends, you know, and we decided to go in business together.
Where do you live?
Houston, Texas.
Where does she live?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas.
Does she live in the same place that you do?
In the same home?
In the same place, building?
Oh, no, we don't.
Who do you live with?
Myself.
Who does she live with?
Herself.
When did you meet in the military?
2021. Not really sure exactly what month. But...
Now, if you're in business together, is the only business you had this one car that
Yes, we was just starting.
What kind of work do you do?
Crane operation.
Full time?
Yes.
And what about you?
I work at a call center.
So that's your primary source of income?
That's correct.
Yes.
And you decided to do this car rental as sort of a side gig?
Yes.
We had just got out the military, so we didn't have a job then. So we did it for a primary source of income.
Well, you can't have one car that you rent as a primary source of income.
We have our military disability check as well, so we have that. And we
How long were you in the military?
Almost 9 years.
And you?
8.
Where did you serve?
Norfolk, Virginia, and Mayport, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida.
So you were never out of the United States?
Yes, I went overseas for deployments, but never stationed.
But where did you go on your deployment?
Bahrain, Dubai, Greece, Italy, and all over.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, good. Yeah. What about you?
Only Virginia.
Only Virginia?
Only Virginia.
How did you become disabled in Virginia?
I have no idea.
I mean, you said you're on a military disability, so, you know, I could understand if you deployed someplace else.
I have no idea.
You have no idea what?
why I guess became disabled. Just mentally, I guess. Mental.
Well, you applied for a disability from the Army.
You said what?
What?
I said mental.
Just my own curiosity. I have to see how this is going. How much is your disability benefit from the Army?
$2,000.
A month? It's not an answer. Yes is an answer. What about you?
Same.
And is your disability mental or physical?
Both.
Well, your physical disability doesn't inhibit you from being a crane operator.
No, not really.
Great. I love America. Okay, so now you're out, you're both on disability from the Army. You don't have a job yet, so you decide to buy a Mercedes.
That's correct.
What year Mercedes?
2014.
And how much was it?
22,000.
Is there a note on the car?
Yes.
For how much?
$350.
Per month?
Yes.
How much of a loan did you take out?
23, one of them. It's not too much.
Car was only 22.
The car was 22.
I don't know the exact number that the car is right now, but it was between 21 and 23,000 that we owed on it. And I took the loan out.
Where is the car now?
In Texas.
With whom?
She has it right now.
What was the rental agreement that you had with Miss Freeman? You didn't form a business corporation or anything else, am I correct?
Yes, we have an LLC.
And the sole asset is this car?
Yes.
You bought the car when? Give me the date again.
I think it was in July.
July of 2022?
That's correct.
And when did you rent the car to the defendant?
August 27th.
Do you have the rental agreement?
Selena produces documents.
I don't have the original agreement because it was in my car that was stolen, but I made her take a picture with her driver's license and send it to me. So this is a copy, and this is before she signed it.
And I have after I signed.
It's literally the same thing.
Just
And so you know
let it talk.
Judy reviews the documents.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is take a look at this, Ms. Freeman, and tell me if you have it. It's the same.
Yes,
What is she
ma'am.
had? Okay. And this is the entire agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Caption, coming up.
I don't know why you're arguing. It doesn't appear, madam, it doesn't appear as if you are losing this case. So I don't know why you feel compelled to make it hostile.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Treyon, Selena, and Brianna.
Selena Brown and Treyon Dupree claim their customer, Brianna Freeman, owes for damages to their Mercedes rental car. Brianna is countersuing for lost wages.
So there's nothing in this agreement that prevents her from allowing somebody else to use the car, and the agreement specifically says that if anything happens to the car, she is responsible to use her insurance, and you have a policy number, your policy number for insurance. Okay, so your boyfriend was driving the car on what date?
The 1st.
First of what?
September. And I have the accident report if you want that.
Not yet, I may. Not yet, but there was an accident and the car was damaged.
Correct.
Anybody have a photograph of the damage to the car?
I have it on my phone if you would like to see that.
I would.
While we're waiting, Your Honor, I found the LLC filing that lists both of them as the
principals.
As the principals, but they list the same address for both of them. Their residents are listed as the same.
Oh, really? Interesting. Want to say that a little louder?
I just said I found both of them listed as managing members of the LLC with the same address for both of them listed.
I lived in a different state when we started. I was in Florida.
We don't live together. That's what y'all are saying.
It just lists.
Yeah, that's just the LLC address.
It's in my boyfriend's phone because the number that's on the contract was his phone at the time. So if you want to see.
I had a picture right here.
And I have multiple pictures as well.
Of the car?
That's correct.
Well, that's what I'm asking you for. I said I want to see pictures of the damage to the car. You were in an accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you agreed in this contract that if you were in an accident, Brianna, that would be you,
yes,
will use her insurance if anything happens during the rental. Brianna will be responsible to pay out of pocket.
Correct.
You signed that?
Correct.
Okay, so you were in an accident. I don't care whose fault it is, because it doesn't have anything to do with fault. Picture of the car.
It's
another paper picture.
It's a couple pictures, so you can just check as well.
Selena hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews images of a damaged vehicle, then gestures to Brianna's boyfriend, Eshwin.
Stand up. Somebody hit you in the rear?
No, in the front.
Oh, this is the front of the car?
They ran a stop sign.
What?
They ran a stop sign. I was coming up, they were coming across.
Well, whatever. You had damage in the front of your car. In my mind, that usually means that you hit somebody.
No, they came across from me. They ran a stop sign in front of me.
And you hit them. Okay, well, that's what it usually means, that you hit somebody in the front. Okay, and that was on September 1st.
All right.
Did you notify your insurance company?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to see proof of that.
So these are the claims, the quotes they gave me to fix the car. Also, this is when I let her know, Ms. Brown, what was covered under my policy.
I'd like to see it.
So that's that. It shows what's covered in my policy.
Was the car fixed?
Absolutely
not.
No.
It was not?
Not at all.
Why not?
Because I didn't talk to Trayon, Mr. Dupree, however you say his name, until the day, September the 5th. All of my business was going through Mrs. Brown. So I don't know if he just found out what happened, but when I called the insurance on the 1st, they let me know that he was the owner of the vehicle. I said, okay, they said they'll have to go through everything through him so that the car can get fixed, because I wasn't the title holder. I said, that's fine. I said, okay, due to the fact that the car got wrecked, I let her know that once the car goes to Mercedes-Benz to get fixed, they give a loaner vehicle. I let them know everything that was covered. Why it didn't get fixed? Because she popped up to my home and caused drama. I lost my job behind it, so forth and so on.
What does that have to do with your responsibility? Your boyfriend had an accident with a car. You have a contract that says you're going to fix it.
Because Trayon said it wasn't enough.
What do you mean Trayon said it wasn't enough?
I sent him the quote for their adjusters, and he said that wasn't enough to get it fixed. And I have that text message from Trayon.
Just a second. I'd like to see your quote from your company.
Judy reviews a document.
Where did you take the car for them to send an adjuster to take a look at the car?
I had to take pictures of the car and upload it to the app they sent me, and that's how they got those quotes.
They have an estimate here of $3,000. Mm-hmm. Did you get an estimate to fix the car?
Yes, we got an estimate.
I'd like to see it.
In person.
In person. That was just the picture, and when I
Okay, got it.
Trayon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
May I interject a little bit? Because Brianna kind of lying, and she raised her right hand. So Brianna didn't notify us that the car was wrecked until September 3rd. She told us that she was in a hospital with her dying father.
Listen to me. I don't care.
She lied about
I don't care.
She lied about how the car got wrecked.
I don't care. It doesn't matter how the car got wrecked. She has an obligation to fix it. She has an obligation to fix it. And to be quite honest with you, this is a Mercedes, and this car can't be fixed for $2,900. Can't. He's absolutely right. This car can't be fixed based upon that damage. And he wasn't prepared to say here.
No, it wasn't that at all. So once, I guess, he got involved in the business, I was talking to Ms. Brown. She said she had a rental the next day or something in that manner. And I said, okay, well, let me find a Mercedes-Benz that can actually get your car in so you can get this loaner car for you to rent your car out. Also, in the midst of that, I was gonna pay for the rental that she had that was so much wanting to cancel on her. So I said, okay, Mercedes has a loaner car and can accept your car at the time.
Well, they couldn't fix this car for $2,900.
That's what they gave me, and they said that if it went to a Mercedes-Benz shop, they will honor that.
I don't know that at all.
That's what they told me.
I don't care.
But regardless of the price of getting the car fixed, I was gonna pay, because I know that we was at fault for it. Quote unquote, it was my contract that I signed. Okay. That wasn't an issue.
Well, then you can take that up with your insurance company.
Correct. I didn't have a problem with paying.
Yeah, then you can take it up with your insurance company.
Caption coming up.
She lied about how the accident happened. So they denied.
Don't listen to me. You started to say that before. I told you I don't care.
She's just lying and cost us so much money. Like,
madam, listen to me.
Selena lowers her eyes and trembles.
You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Treyon, Selena, and Brianna.
Selena Brown and Treyon Dupree have accused their customer, Brianna Freeman, of damaging their Mercedes rental car after her boyfriend was in an accident.
He has an estimate that looks like a pretty legitimate estimate. They bought the car. It's a relatively new car. They paid $22,000 for it. Your boyfriend wrecked it, and he has an estimate which looks reasonable for $8,000 to fix it. And if your insurance company is dragging their heels and not paying what they should, you take that up with your insurance company.
I never got that quote, by the way.
Which quote?
The quote that the $8,000. I never got that.
Well, I'm going to show it to you.
Oh, it's probably be true.
$8,319.
Her insurance denied it because she lied. She lied about how the accident happened. So they denied.
Don't listen to me. You started to say that before. I told you I don't care.
My insurance.
Just a second.
Your insurance what?
Never denied the claim.
I have proof. I talked to him. I have proof. I have the email where he said they denied it because.
They definitely denied it.
Because I told them to stop because she popped up at my house.
Because she lied about the accident. Because we tried to get it through our insurance as well.
I don't know why you're arguing. It doesn't appear, madam, it doesn't appear as if you are losing this case. So I don't know why you feel compelled to make it hostile. I don't understand why.
She's just lying and cost us so much money. Like,
madam, listen to me. We're all told.
Selena lowers her eyes and trembles.
You okay? Good. Your car is in this condition at whose house? At your house?
That's correct.
And the car, since the accident, which was 4 months ago, has it been rented?
No.
No. Is it drivable?
Yes, it's drivable.
When was the last time you drove it?
Last week.
When was the last time you rented it?
Since Brianna.
Have you been making the payments on the car?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's been making the payments?
Both.
What is the monthly payment?
$350.
$350. You told me that. The insurance up to date?
So we had insurance. We had commercial insurance on it. But when I put in the claim and told them what happened, because we did get lied to about what actually happened, and we didn't get informed of the accident till the 3rd. But when I put in the claim, I put it in how they told us what happened. And my insurance, they found the police report before we did, and they seen what actually happened. So they felt like we was trying to do fraud. So the guy, he told us it's better for us to pull the claim because it's gonna look like it's fraud on our part. So they dropped us from the insurance.
So they dropped you after?
Yes.
After the accident?
Yes.
Can I see the police report now?
Brianna hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Well, this police report indicates that the other person was at fault.
That was my. Oh, sorry.
Am I wrong about that?
No, ma'am.
No, then don't speak. This police report, did you see it?
Yes. Got it right here.
I'd like to see what you have. This police report clearly says that Unit 1, which was the woman, ran a stop sign. That's what it says. Why would your insurance company drop you?
Because we gave the story that she told us, so it looks like we're doing fraud.
Yeah.
And basically, ignorance isn't an excuse for them. So.
Actually, that's pretty outrageous.
We was told it was a hit and run.
She told us it was a hit and run, so we told them that. She said she was in the hospital when it got hit, and then we found the report. She waited until the day that we had a rental to tell us. We had another rental on the 3rd that afternoon. She told us that morning.
On the 3rd?
That's correct.
And the accident was on the 1st?
That's correct.
Okay. I think you have to get your car fixed. I think that the fact that your insurance company canceled your insurance when it was clear that he was not at fault in this accident, at least according to the police report, is actually pretty outrageous that they canceled your insurance. Is there any insurance on the car now?
Yes, there's regular insurance on it.
Not commercial anymore?
Not right now because we're not renting it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Treyon and Selena, then Brianna.
I'm glad we won and everything. I felt like, we deserved more than we got, but at the end of the day, we won the case. I'm not mad at the decision.
I'm fine with it regardless because I know I was trying to get it fixed. It was just a timing issue.
She lied about everything. She literally lied about everything. She pulled out a gun on me.
Lying, I don't have anything to lie about. It's all in my evidence.
Like, she told me to come basically get the car and the keys in the mailbox. And when I went over there to get it, she pulled a gun out on me because I took my wig off.
She posted stuff saying I lied about things. I pulled my gun out on her. Like, girl, I don't have a gun, like, at all.
I think that they put it inside, so they checked them. But they said they couldn't go inside, so they checked their body.
They checked them. They wasn't able to prove that they had a gun because,
So she said it was a gun, it was a bat, and like I had to get checked twice by the police officer. And it was like, she came over here looking for problems because the car was gonna get towed.
It's definitely a risk, but, you know, make sure we're prepared for stuff like that from now on.
No hard feelings, supporting Black businesses, but it is what it is. You know what you know, it's just facts.
I think I should just be grateful. I'm just gonna be quiet and just be grateful.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, I'm sitting here trying to think of what the takeaway is on this case, and I can't think of the takeaway.
I mean, I'm having a hard time as well, but I think accountability and responsibility could be a good one. The defendant knows what she signed, that any damage to the car from her boyfriend, her, anyone while the car was in her possession is on her. But what we see a lot of is emotional issues come into play when people know their responsibility, but then there's an emotional issue. She came to my job, she harassed me, she came to my house and yelled at me, whatever it is. And they think they can use that as a justification to get out of their accountability. And although I'm not promoting going to someone's house for some self-help, you know, that's not a reason for you not to follow through on your responsibility.
On your contractual responsibility.
Yes. Which she was clearly aware of. So maybe that.
That's the takeaway. Maybe that. You're right.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv.
You left the 2 dogs with her. Within 2 hours, you called her and said, I changed my mind.
I was a little uneasy about giving her the dog.
She said, I got offered a lot more money for this dog. I think you're a scam artist.
No, I did not.
You made a deal.
I really just want my dogs.
Duh.
This is Judy. Brianna Sloneker is suing her buyer, Charity Hoovener, for the cost of a golden retriever puppy.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case 2188, Sloneker versus Hoovener.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Sloneker, is this your boyfriend?
Hi, yes. This is my boyfriend and the father of our 2-year-old child.
Okay, you could stand up with her. In addition to a 2-year-old child, you also had 2 dogs. Where were you living at the time of this incident?
So we were living in our house.
In your house where?
In Radford, Michigan.
Do you own the house or rent it?
We rent it.
Are you still living there?
Yes, we are.
Do you work?
No,
You're not, the answer is no.
I am a writer. I'm also 2 months pregnant too, so.
The question is, do you work and make a living?
Yes.
At what?
Writing.
Okay. Who do you write for?
Myself, self-publishing.
Well, how much money did you make last year self-publishing?
0.
0.
Yeah.
So the answer is, you don't work and you don't make any money. And what about you, boyfriend?
I currently, at the moment, am a custodian for the Hills School District.
Okay, and how much do you earn?
I earn $16.50 an hour.
And what's your rent?
It's $14.45.
Who pays it? There's no question you don't.
He does.
I do.
Impossible. Not at $16 an hour.
Our brother currently lives with
my
brother lives with us as well, so we have a roommate. That's how we pay for it.
And he pays some of the rent?
Yes.
Is your rent current?
Yes.
And you have a car?
I do.
So you have car and insurance. You have a car. Well, somehow you're very economical. Now, you had 2 dogs. You had financial hardship, according to your complaint, and you could no longer take care of the dogs. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What kind of dogs were they?
Our 1-year-old dog named Courage. He is a Border Collie, an Australian Shepherd mix.
He's a Border Collie?
Yes.
Where did you get him from?
We got him from a breeder back in 2021. It was probably December 2nd of 2021.
And what was the other dog?
The other dog, her name was Danny. She was a purebred golden retriever puppy that we had purchased October 7th, 2022. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how much did you pay for the Border Collie?
We paid $500 for the Border Collie.
I'm still figuring out how you're all budgeting. And how much did you pay for the Golden Retriever?
We also paid $500 for the Golden Retriever.
Where did you get the money from?
A tax return.
So let me understand this. You have a 2-year-old baby?
Yes.
You have a 2-year-old baby. You got tax returns from the only income from the house, which is his, where he earned $16 an hour. And what you did was you spent $1,000 of your tax return on 2 dogs. I just am clarifying that in my own mind. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a right. Okie dokie. When you could no longer either physically and or financially take care of the dogs, you put an ad on the internet. What part of the internet?
We put the ad on Craigslist and Hoobly.
Craigslist and?
Hoobly.
It's like another Craigslist type online.
Do you have a copy of the ad?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them.
Brianna hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews advertisements featuring images of 2 dogs.
Okay, so you put ads for both dogs. One, you said small rehoming fee, not a breeder, needs a new home, call for details. The other is the 1-year-old Border Collie, Aussie mix, and you had rehoming fee of $200.
Yes.
Okay, this says absolutely nothing about fostering short term, you get the dogs back, nothing. And no other criteria in here.
Yes.
Nothing. So this is your complaint. The defendant answered your ads. You brought the 2 dogs over to her. She gave you $100.
Yes.
Yes. You left the 2 dogs with her. You were on your way back to wherever you lived, in the car, and according to you, you had a change of heart.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
And you called her and you said to her, we're coming back.
Yes.
How long did that process take you?
It was within the 2 hours we had left.
So within 2 hours, you called her and said, I changed my mind.
Yes.
And what did she say to you?
She had said that she had given the dog away.
One of them?
One of them, yeah.
Okay. She said, I gave the dog away. Did she tell you to whom? Did she tell you what circumstances? Did she tell you?
She said that she had given the dog to a lady named Cindy, and she mentioned that she gave this Danny to...
You have text messages, is what you're reading from text messages?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. Yeah.
Brianna hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Okay, so this is a text in the evening, and she says to you, my friend is traveling back to Tennessee now with my friend Cindy. Now, you went back to the house and you picked up one of the dogs.
Yes.
Courage. And did you give her back the $100?
No.
That's either yes or no.
No.
Why not?
Caption, coming up.
We want our dog back.
You made a deal. She paid you $100. She gave you one back despite the fact that you didn't give her any money. Why do you think that this is a deal that you can say, well, I changed my mind?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brianna and Charity.
Brianna Sleneker claims her buyer, Charity Hoovener, wrongfully gave away a golden retriever after promising to keep the puppy.
Now, you went back to the house and you picked up one of the dogs.
Yes.
Courage. And did you give her back the $100?
No.
That's either yes or no.
No.
Why not?
Because she kept the other dog, Danny, which was a purebred golden retriever. The condition was to have both dogs together.
Okay, show me where that is. Show me something in writing where that was a condition. It certainly wasn't in your ad. It certainly wasn't in your ad, which just said you needed to find new homes for both your dogs.
It was.
Did you ever say anything to the defendant about getting a better offer for the golden retriever?
No.
Yes.
Did you ever say anything to the defendant, either on the phone or in a text, that you believed that you could get more for the golden retriever because you had paid $500 for it as a puppy? This was just a couple of months later. It was still a puppy. I'm asking you, did you say anything to her about being able to get more money for her?
Mm-hmm. No, I did not. We want our dog back because of our other dog, Courage. And
Well, what makes you think you can have the dog back?
Well,
you made a deal. She paid you $100. You took the $100. You didn't return the $100 to her. One of the dogs was already rehomed to yet another person. She gave you the dog back. She gave you one back, despite the fact that you didn't give her any money. Why do you think that this is a deal that you can say, well, I changed my mind? What makes you?
Because it was in a verbal condition to keep the dogs together.
Absolutely not.
Shh.
Sorry.
It was a verbal condition to keep the dogs together. They were a bonded pair, and she said that if we wanted to, we could.
In what month did you sell the dogs to the defendant?
It was December 4th, 2022.
12/4. Now, you got, according to you, the golden retriever in October of 2022. So you had, at most, the dogs together for 2 months.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's not a bonding experience. How old was the golden retriever?
She was 2 months old when we got her.
So she was 4 months old?
Yes.
Well, you certainly could have gotten more than $100 for her. She must have been really desperate for that $100.
I really just want my dogs together.
Well, they're not together. Then you should have thought of that before you put ads here. You changed your mind. That's it. You changed for whatever reason. You felt sad in the car going home, or she's going to tell me that you had a conversation with her that involved money.
No.
I'm ready. All I want to know from you at this point is, and it's really not dispositive of this case, but it was in your answer. Did you ever have a conversation after she dropped the dogs off about money?
Yes.
Tell me about the conversation. When was it? Was it in the car? Or
It was by my door, by my side door.
When? At what point in this? When they came back? Or
When they came back, she said, I got offered a lot more money for this dog. I think you're a scam artist, and I want what's due. I want the rest of my money.
What, the rest of your money?
No.
I don't know.
No, Your Honor, no.
Never said that.
Yes. She got offered more money, Your Honor.
She certainly could have gotten more
She
for this
certainly
golden
could
retriever.
have.
She certainly could have gotten more money
Yes.
for the golden retriever than the $100 that you gave her for both dogs.
Yes, for both.
But she accepted the $100 and she never returned the $100. That's it. Finished. What?
Your Honor,
You
I
have
wanted to keep Courage, and my friend here, Cindy, took Danny.
Oh, so you have the other dog?
I do, yes.
I have the other dog. Well, step up. So you were going to Tennessee?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the conversation that you had with Ms. Hovner.
Yes.
On the date that they dropped the dog off.
Okay. She had called me and let me know that.
Well, first of all,
I believe is her name, was going to drop the dogs off.
When did you have this discussion?
That was on the 4th, on December 4th, 2022. She called me, I would be guessing, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe 5 in the afternoon, and told me that, I think her name's Brianna, was going to be dropping the dogs off.
For $100.
For $100, and she asked me, do you have, $100? And I said, well, sure.
So you gave her $100?
I gave her $100 to give, yes.
Brianna.
And I was waiting, and she was running just a little late. We was going to Tennessee. We had to get diapers and stuff. So I left the $100 with Charity, and I said, just in case she comes while I'm gone, you have the money to give her, and I'll come back when, we're done shopping to get the dog.
Okay. Now, when had you discussed with her the $100 for both dogs?
Over the phone, Your Honor.
Tell me about the conversation.
The conversation went, we had discussed the $100 for both Courage and
Do you
Danny.
have that in texts?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Not all of them, just
not all of it.
Just the one that she's asking about.
Yeah. How is the dog?
She's doing really good. Yeah, I got her to the vet. She's growing. Oh, she 2 weeks ago was her last shots, and she's already 41 pounds. She's just growing like a weed. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to read this to you. I am trying hard to come up with $100 more, dear. I have 100. And you respond to her, okay, we're just going to have to feed them bread until somebody buys them. Then she answers you, I will come up with the rest. You were just feeding these puppies bread?
Caption, coming up.
What's changed in your life financially that you think that you should be able to stretch your budget to feed so far a 40-pound dog and the other one? What's changed? Nothing.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brianna and Charity.
Brianna Sleneker is accusing her buyer, Charity Hoovener, of giving away a golden retriever hours after purchasing the puppy.
Now, you respond to her, okay, we're just going to have to feed them bread until somebody buys them. You were just feeding these puppies bread? That's what you wrote here. Who wrote this, you or him?
I wrote it.
And I would assume that your life circumstance hasn't changed. You're still not working, and he's still working for $16 an hour.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And at that point, back in December, what you said was, I can only afford, in effect, I can only afford to feed them bread until somebody buys them. What's changed in your life? What's changed in your life financially that you think that that you should be able to stretch your budget to feed so far a 40-pound dog and the other one? What's changed? Nothing. Ridiculous people.
I was jobless at the time.
Kenyon was jobless at the time, Your Honor.
What?
Yes.
He was jobless in December.
Yes.
You still took your tax returns and bought a dog for $500. Duh.
Judy reviews a document.
She says to you, oh, they are both really fantastic dogs. And you respond, absolutely they are. It was a nice chapter to have them. Now their fate is with you or wherever their life journey takes them. Glad you have them now. That's what you wrote.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I'm probably going to fall madly in love. Anyway, then you changed your mind, and they reached out to Pause Organization and had a chat about last night. Your suspected buyer is being rude to us, and we want our dog back. What's a Pause Organization? What is that?
When we had met her at her house, I was a little uneasy about giving her the dog and taking in consideration the area we live in Metro Detroit. There's a lot of dog fighting there, so I had to be sure that she was trustworthy. So she had mentioned to me that she is a part of the Pause Organization, which is a animal-friendly organization.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You say, now you want the dog back, and you say, option A, you pay us our asking price for the dog. What was your asking price? This is after you already got the $100. Okay, so now, after you got the $100, left the dogs with her, what was your asking price? What was your asking price?
The value of her.
What was the asking price? It's your words.
I'm a little confused, I'm sorry.
Option A, you pay us our asking price for Danny. Or option B, we call our lawyers and take you to court.
Yes, I at the time wanted her to repay the remaining balance of Danny, how much we had bought her for, $500.
So you wanted more money for the dog?
Yes.
Okay, well, you can't have it. You've already made your bargain. Your case is dismissed. We're done here. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Brianna, then Charity.
I think that there's a lot of evidence, a lot of things that was left out and unsaid.
I thought the judge's decision was fantastic.
I just feel like everything wasn't said properly. That's probably on our part. I don't think it was necessarily fair, but that's her decision.
Cindy and I wanted the best interest in these dogs.
It just didn't feel right, so immediately we went back to get the dogs and keep them and bring them home.
It was about money.
Just stick it out next time. Don't trust everybody.
I just feel as if these dogs were not taken care of.
I hope she does have a good home.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, the sadness of that whole case to me, Sarah, is the mindlessness of these two young people. I don't know where they got the $500 during that 2-year period, an extra $500 to pay for each dog. Mm-hmm. I can only speculate. When I speculate, I say to myself, based upon my common sense, neither one of them look like they're robbing a store.
No.
So I have to say to myself, You know who bought them those dogs? The president. Because the only time you get that kind of chunk of money was at your stimulus or extended something. But even if it's extended unemployment, because he was unemployed, you have $1,500 a month in rent, you have a car, you have insurance, you have a 2-year-old baby. What kind of thought process goes into buying 2 expensive dogs?
And
Want
big
a dog?
dogs.
And big dog. Well, one of them was a big dog. One of them was a substantial sized dog. Then you have a 2-year-old baby and you're going to feed the dog spread. So what do? You have another baby. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And I guess I get so excited about it because based upon my history, it's always the children that end up suffering.
I knew you were going there. And it's true.
Yeah.
You're feeding a dog bread and think that that's an appropriate way to take care of an animal and trying to get it off your plate. The first thing I would be doing is making sure I didn't sign up for another child financially, responsibility-wise.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Cut the baby's formula with water so that you can stretch it? I mean, they both look like they could use a good meal. I don't understand. I just don't understand the thought process. And it's always the innocents that suffer because even the dogs are innocents. Clearly, the babies, but clearly the dogs are innocents. You know, they just want to be fed and have a home where you're not a 4-month-old puppy eating bread until they can find somebody that can give them something more nourishing. It's absolutely outrageous and irresponsible and tragic. That's what I think. Life isn't getting any different from what it was 40 years ago. It just stays the same.
Yeah. Well, at least the golden retriever is in a good home, goes to the vet, hopefully is getting fed real dog food. So there's a bright side or a silver lining in the end of that. So.
Right. If you could just find reasonable parents to take care of these 2 children that they created.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go
911 was shooting at them. You had road rage and shooting your gun at her.
Nope.
I've been on this earth a very long time. You are an ordinary guy with a bad temper. Now, don't look at her.
This is Judy Justice. Shelley Berg for a false claim leading to his arrest.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Be seated, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge.
Why are you, Kevin?
Case 2201, Parkinson versus Burke.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Brian.
Mr. Parkinson, you are suing the defendant, alleging that she caused you to be falsely arrested.
That is correct.
The defendant has a counterclaim. Her counterclaim is based upon the same incident for which you were arrested. She's claiming that you placed both herself and her passenger in her car in fear because you displayed erratic behavior and threatened them with a gun. And I gather that you 2 live in a gated community. Is that correct?
Yes,
where is that?
Arkansas.
How long have you lived there?
8 years.
And you?
26 years.
This incident occurred on what date, sir?
June 7th.
Of last year.
Yes.
You were driving what kind of car, Mr. Parkinson?
A gray Toyota Tundra.
Sir, I think I know what that looks like. Could you bring that up for me so that I can see a Toyota Tundra?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like a little car. That sounds like a big car.
It's a truck.
On her laptop, Sarah shows Judy images of pickup trucks.
Big. And what kind of car were you driving?
A Toyota Camry.
That I know what it looks like. It's a regular size, smallish car. This incident happened, according to the complaint, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's correct.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. Parkinson, since it's your claim for false arrest.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me your version of what happened on June 7th, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I assume you were on your way home.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Go ahead.
Miss Burke pulled out of the station in front of my vehicle, directly in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes extremely hard.
Okay. Either because she wasn't paying attention, right?
Could be.
Could be. Well, you wouldn't think. Just let me stop. When was the last time you were psychiatrically hospitalized?
Never.
Are you currently taking any psychotropic medication?
No, ma'am.
Were you intoxicated on the 7th of June?
No, ma'am.
4 o'clock in the afternoon?
No, ma'am.
So, Mr. Parkinson, let me go back a little bit. This is a non-psychotic, not drunk person. So if you're a thinking person, you know that if she pulled out Either she wasn't paying attention because she's not driving the Tundra. You are. You're driving a this, she's driving a this. So she wouldn't place herself and her son in harm's way purposely to pull out in front of your Tundra.
I would hope not.
Well, I would say absolutely not. I don't have to even guess about that. She did not put herself purposely in harm's way. And so she pulled out in front of you. You had to put on your brakes hard.
For her safety.
You weren't thinking about her safety. You're not thinking about anybody's safety. It's a reaction. If somebody pulls out unexpectedly, you put your brakes on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not going through your mind for her safety. It's put your brakes on. I mean, because if you were thinking about her safety, then we wouldn't be here today. So after you put on your brakes to stop, did anything happen?
Some objects in the back of my truck dislodged, some stuff in the back of the seat moved.
And these things that got dislodged, did they get dislodged from the back cab in the truck or from the interior of the truck?
Both in the bed and the interior.
Okay, what got dislodged in the interior?
Some paperwork, some clothing.
Okay, so it fell on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, and in the back part of the truck?
Bed of the truck, some tools shifted also.
Didn't fall out of the truck. They just moved from one place to another.
That is correct.
What did you do next?
I proceeded to follow Miss Burke into the village because I live in the village.
When you say you followed her in, describe what you mean you followed her in.
She was in front of me, and I followed her into the village.
Don't play with me, sir. I read your complaint. You were tailing her.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's say I was tailing her closely because you were annoyed.
Yes.
There we go. So you understand at this point, sir, that what you were involved in is road rage. You, not her. She was an accident. She was negligent. She wasn't paying attention. Let's say all of those things, not on purpose, because that would be stupid, and she has not recently been psychiatrically hospitalized. You, on the other hand, made a purposeful decision to tail her because you were annoyed that your tools moved. That's what happened. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, I was annoyed.
Okay, you were annoyed, and what followed was an incident of road rage. Your husband, you've been in the car with him when he's had a little bit of road rage? Think about it before you answer me. Have you been in the car with him when he has reacted in a different way from the way you would have reacted to another car?
He has, very minimal.
The answer is either yes or no. Have you been with him in the car when he has reacted in a way that you would not have reacted in a traffic situation?
Yes, ma'am.
Caption coming up.
I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian and Shelley.
Brian Parkinson claims his neighbor, Shelley Burke, owes for the costs of being falsely arrested. Shelley is countersuing Brian for emotional distress, saying he threatened her with a gun.
And when he's reacted that way, did you ever say anything to him?
It was minimal. I didn't respond to it.
Really? Okay. Good. When my husband gets involved in one of those road rage things because somebody cuts him off, I'm all over him like white on rice. Are you crazy, putting me in jeopardy because you got a bad temper? That's what I say to my husband. She can attest to that. Me, I once said it to a police officer who pulled him over. Give him a ticket. Give him 2 tickets. Maybe he'll stop. Right?
True.
So now you're involved in a road rage hissy fit and you're tailgating her. How many blocks did you tail her? Or how many miles did you tail her? Don't look as if you don't understand my question.
No.
Okay, good.
3/4 of a mile, if that.
Okay, well, that's a pretty long way, 3/4 of a mile. So you were tailing her for 3/4 of a mile. And at some point, did she make a turn with her car to avoid you tailing her?
Yes.
A 90-degree turn?
Yes.
So tell me, now you're following her for 3/4 of a mile, and she makes this turn.
Yes.
Now, when she made that sharp turn, did you follow her?
Nope.
No.
No.
No. I know you didn't follow her because she made that turn to get away from you. Do you understand? I've been on this earth a very long time. You, Mr. Parkinson, are an ordinary guy with a bad temper. So I've played this scene in my head, both from personal experience and from watching other jerks like you, in my head 100 times. So when she made this turn, she made the turn to get away from you, and you said, well, I accomplished my mission. I jarred her a little bit. That's if I believe your story, all of it. And you went home. Now, I'm to the point where she makes the turn and you went home. So far, correct?
That is correct.
Does that look familiar to you, Mr. Parkinson?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I would like you to walk over there, show me where the gas station is, and show me where you started to follow her.
I'll be more than happy to.
A map.
Of course, it says Shell right here. That's where the incident began.
Right.
She pulled out immediately in front of me, causing me to hit my brakes.
Just a second. So she caused you to hit your brakes?
Yes.
That
And
I know.
then she turned right. I followed her into the village. Everybody gets close.
No. Just show me. I followed her into the village and
Right
show me
here.
where you proceeded.
Then we drove down, and she turned, I believe, here or here.
Turned how?
To the right.
Okay. And you proceeded to your house?
Yes.
Okay. Now you can step back. So she turned off to get away from the maniac who was tailgating her because she had made a mistake in pulling out in front of him at a gas station. You go home, and what do you do when you get home?
I backed my truck in.
And then what did you do?
I got out of my truck to move the tools and stuff that had shifted to the front of the bed, to the back of the bed, where I can get to them better for work, because I had to slam on the brakes twice.
Mr. Parkinson, do you know what doesn't make sense to me? Your husband isn't a stupid man, is he?
No, ma'am.
No. Now, I don't drive a truck, but I know when I go to the store and buy 2 gallons of chicken soup with matzo balls, and I go to put them in the car, I say to myself, Judy, it's possible that you're going to have to stop short, that a light's going to turn red. So I put the chicken soup in between the front seat and the back seat of the car, and I move the seat so it's stable, so that if my car stops a little short, because even if it stops a little short, my chicken soup would be on the floor of the car. So I make sure that it doesn't move. It just doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't secure this toolbox any better. If you stop short, those tools are naturally going to move, right? The weight of the tools is actually going to move. Okay, so I just am putting this whole thing in my head. Do you need a permit to buy a gun in Arkansas?
You do not have to have a permit to carry in Arkansas. It is an
But you
open
have to make
carry
an
state.
application.
You have to apply to buy a handgun or long rifle.
Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have, multiple times.
Just a second. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
What have you applied to buy?
Numerous guns.
Which you still have.
Yes.
I assume that you keep those guns within the proximity of your home.
They are all kept in the house, Your Honor.
The next thing, according to you, the police show up at your door.
That is correct.
And they have a conversation with you about a report.
Yes, they
that
did.
someone has, in your area, has complained that there were shots fired by you out of your truck during this road rage incident.
That's what the statement says.
That's what the statement says. And I assume that the police searched the truck.
The police searched me.
Did they search the truck?
I gave the police the authority to search my truck willingly.
They searched the truck.
I told them they could.
Mr. Parkinson, I know that you think that I'm stupid. I know that you must think that I'm stupid. Did you give the police permission to search your house? The answer is yes or no.
No.
Of course not. Because in your house, they would have found multiple guns.
Correct.
In your house, that's a yes or a no. In your house, they would have found multiple guns.
Yes.
You keep multiple guns in your house, but don't carry one around for protection in your truck. When did they arrest you?
I was arrested on August 2nd.
Okay. And?
I was told to call the village police department. I promptly called them, and they told me I had a warrant for my arrest.
And?
I was very shocked.
And?
And I was charged with felony assault, and I had to pay $1,080 to bond and fees to get out of jail.
And?
I was released from jail. And then on the 17th, is that correct?
19th.
The 19th of August, I had a court date.
And?
It was nolle prost, due to the request of the village police department for lack of evidence.
Okay. And?
So I'm out that amount of money for bond for a false arrest because a false statement and half a day.
Okay, we're going to find out if it's a false statement. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I have to let that sink into you, Mr. Parkinson. So far, I'm not thinking it's a false statement. I'm going to hear the defendant. I know one thing for certain. You were involved in a road rage incident and you were the perpetrator. Whether or not you flashed a gun, she's going to tell me. We certainly know that you have guns, according to you, multiple guns, in your house. I suppose you have a couple for you and a couple for your wife. Who else lives in your house with you?
Just two of us.
Just the two of you. How many guns does he have in the house?
Caption, coming up, Shelley at the map.
So when I go around this one S-car, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. He popped the gun again.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian and Shelley.
Brian Parkinson is accusing his neighbor, Shelley Burke, of lying to the police and getting him falsely arrested. Shelley claims Brian was shooting his gun while following her home.
How many guns does he have in the house?
We have 2 long guns that he used for hunting, and we each have a handgun.
And you each have a handgun?
Yes.
Good.
They are in travel cases that are locked.
You want to know something? I don't believe that.
But we have grandchildren that come over.
When there are grandchildren, you may lock them. Okay, now we're going to you, Miss Burke. Did you see him when you cut him off?
I did not.
Let's start out with the fact that you were exiting the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see him. You weren't paying attention. You didn't look that way. Whatever it was, you cut him off. So let's start from there.
You got it. This gray truck comes up behind me, swerving and revving his motor and all that. Got as close as he possibly could.
Why don't you show me
I
over
will
there?
do that. Okay.
Shelley approaches a map on a view screen.
There's 2 lanes going into the village. There's a left and a right lane. I go left, he goes right. Well, I get in front of him, and then he starts getting behind me, swerving his car back and forth, revving his motor. He is so close. He's probably closest to me and him. I mean, he's not a car length away. He's right up on my bumper. And revving his truck, and I'm going the speed limit. Then I turn, make a left. He's still right on me, never lets up. It's kind of a tricky area because it's curvy. So when I go around this one S-car, I hear a pop. And I'm like, oh my God, he just shot at us. I said, call 911. When I start coming back down again, I look in my passenger mirror. I saw the spark. I saw it. I'll never forget it. And he heard it. We heard, even on the phone call, I think you can possibly hear it. He popped the gun again. And then he's on 911 talking to her, and the lady's saying, be calm, be calm. And I'm leaning down in the car. He's trying to tell me to go. He looks like he's going on past us. But when he does that, he rolls down the window, and you could see him holding a gun in his hand. And he says something I can't understand what he's saying. He's getting the license plate number. So we thought he kept on going.
So your son got the license number?
Yeah, he got the license plate number. He's on the phone with 911 at this time.
And that's what was given to the police?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I got the 911 call here with us today.
I would like to hear it. Step back. Can I hear the 911 call, please?
Go, 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 go! 911, what is your emergency? Somebody was shooting at us. What?
There's a pop.
Gray Toyota truck. He was shooting at us. His license plate number is... I need all units. We got a vehicle that is... The complainant's on 911 saying the vehicle is shooting at them. I'm fixing to run the tag. Who am I speaking with? This is Leslie Scott Rogers. And you said what kind of vehicle was it? It was a gray Toyota Tundra. Go. It's coming back on a gray Toyota Tundra, and that's what the complainant says. It's a 2014 Toyota Tundra.
Okay, start that 911 call all over again. Pay careful attention, because I thought at the beginning of this tape, I too heard a shot. Could we start again, please? Take your hand out of your pocket.
Go, 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 go! 911, what is your emergency? Somebody was shooting at us.
There it is. There it is. Got it. You can stop it.
That doesn't sound like a gunshot.
Mm-hmm. Your case is dismissed, Mr. Parkinson. Your case is dismissed. I have a counterclaim, so stand where you are. The counterclaim is by Miss Burke for the emotional trauma that she, let's just talk about her, went through as a result of your road rage and shooting your gun at her, which you did. You probably didn't shoot it to hit her or to hit the car, because I don't think you're that stupid. Stupid, yes, but I don't think that's stupid. I think you did it to frighten her, just to frighten her. Then I think that you brought the gun that you keep in your truck when you work, maybe on your person, which you probably have a perfectly legal right to do, and you took the gun, you said, just in case something happens, because I did, in fact, shoot my gun in her direction, because I heard it on the 911 call. I better put it in the house. I better put it in the house. So you took the gun and you brought it into the house, and then saying, oh, police are here. Oh, well, search my truck. You won't find a gun. Search me. You won't find a gun on me. Don't search my house. And I guarantee you that you didn't say to the policemen when they came, I do have a gun, but it's locked in my house. Show me something where you told the police that you had a gun, but it was in the house. Nothing, because it didn't happen. Based upon that 911 call, the fact that you were involved in a road rage incident with her, tailing her at least 3/4 of a mile, right on her tail, causing that 911 call, as far as I'm concerned, that's trauma. My heart would have been racing triple time, because I don't know whether behind me is a lunatic or just a stupid guy who can't control his temper, and his wife hasn't been able to beat it out of him for the last how many years you're married. Because there's no question he's done that sort of thing before. Maybe not with a gun. Maybe not with a gun. When was the last time, sir, prior to this time that you were arrested? When was the last time prior to this time that you were arrested? Year.
19.
Then 19, your age, or 2019?
2019.
2019. For what? Now, don't think, I know that if I were arrested once, a couple of years ago, I would have remembered what it was.
Well, I was arrested for supposed harassment, violation of no contact order. What else?
No, don't look at her.
It's been so many times, I can't remember.
So you've been arrested multiple times?
Yes.
Okay, good. Nice. You picked him.
I don't see how this pertains, Your
How
Honor.
does it pertain?
I do
For your
how it pertains.
propensity for violence, sir.
This has nothing to do with violence.
No, it does have to do with her counterclaim. $5,000 is what your counterclaim is for. Is that correct? Judgment on the counterclaim for $5,000. Your claim's dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
It was a very bad day.
We do not carry weapons in our vehicles.
I won't even go out at night anymore because I'm scared he's coming by my house.
She described in the report a black weapon. We don't have a black handgun.
The truth is, I saw the guns.
Well, I think she created a situation by admitting she didn't see me.
I don't understand why he would even say that.
People want to drive stupid, let them, and just back off.
Judy.
The plaintiff was certainly not forthcoming. I let him search my truck. I let him search me. What about your house? Did you tell them I do have a gun, but it wasn't out, it wasn't me, because I leave my guns at, my 2 long guns and my 2 short guns at home? Yeah. You could hear the pop in the first part of that when he was hysterical. And believe me, he wasn't hysterical.
Just because someone's tailing you.
Just because someone's tailing you. You don't call 911. You pull into your house and you lock the door fast. You only do that if someone's pointing a gun. And so there's no question. There's no question that he did that. How dare you put someone in fear purposely?
You're just doing it to create a fear in someone. And to do that, especially to a woman driving in front of you in a small Camry, it says more about him than it says anything else, I think.
At that moment, I'd put him in jail for 5 days and say, yeah, next time, don't do it.
Title, Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to
The staff mistreating dogs in their care. What happened that caused you to write this negative review?
She was just saying negative things about our business.
I had heard about some bad business practices.
Tit for tat. You both deserve what you got.
This is Judy Howard for damages and defamation to her pet daycare business.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2173, Langley versus Howard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Langley, your complaint states that you live in a rural area, 13 acres. Your business is pet sitting.
Correct.
The property that you own does not have running water.
Correct.
So all the water for your property has to be trucked in.
Yes.
The defendant is the owner of? The
owner's wife.
The same thing. They own a water business where they deliver by truck massive amounts of water, and you had used them for a period of time. Prior to Labor Day of 2021, when this incident occurred, how long have you been using the defendants?
Probably about a year.
And how often do they deliver water to your property?
4 times a week. Usually 3 times for the pool and once for the house.
Okay. And each time they came, was that on a set time during the week?
We tried to get a set time, but it varied quite often.
Okay. Would they call before they came?
No.
For the year that you had them, when they came, did you pay them at the time that they came?
Yes, I did. Oftentimes we paid in advance. So we paid
So
for the
you
entire
either
week.
paid in advance or you paid at the time of the delivery?
Yes.
Did you give them a check or cash?
Check.
Now let's get to Labor Day 2021. On what day were they supposed to come?
I believe it was the 4th of September. It was on a Friday.
And who was at home to accept the delivery?
We didn't know when they were coming, but I had taken my employee out to lunch, and I called my nephew, who was there holding down the fort, and told him if they deliver water, let them know I forgot the check, so they can either deliver or come back later.
Well, you live in a rural area. Coming back later is a big inconvenience because you forgot the check.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, it happened that it was a big inconvenience because you went out for lunch and you left a nephew. They came, the check wasn't there, and they left with the water. Now, what time did you come?
I wasn't the one who delivered the water. It was my husband, but I believe he had came.
No, he'll tell me.
Oh, okay.
So this was about a year and a half ago. I don't remember the exact time, but it was an AM delivery because we were going out of town Friday evening, going up north. So I was trying to get done with our route fairly early so that we could get out.
So the first time you came to the house was in the morning?
That's correct.
Not lunchtime?
No, it was probably somewhere around 10 a.m. if I was to guess.
Okay. And when you got there that one time, the nephew was there?
That's correct.
And tell me what happened.
Well, the nephew, for starters, is about 12 years old, and the reason why we don't necessarily have a time frame for businesses is because if it's between business hours, when we show up and if they need water, usually that shouldn't be an issue for the business.
Don't give me a whole story, sir. The nephew was 12 years old, okay, and he was left in charge of the pets.
That's correct.
Okay, so the nephew was left in charge of these animals, and when you came, there was no check. What happened?
It wasn't even about the money, the reason why I left. The reason why I showed up there is he was talking on the phone, and he said, we are not ready for water right now.
He was on his phone?
Yes.
Where did this conversation take place?
Near the pool, the dog pool. And we were actually taking 4,000 gallons. So I brought my big truck. I'd bring 2,000 for the doggy pool and then 2,000 for the house because it was a holiday weekend, so I had to make sure that we got him enough water to last through the holiday weekend.
Okay, and I assume that the plaintiff was satisfied with your service because she had continued with your service for over a year.
Yes, that's correct.
That's according to you. That's according to you. You had been satisfied with their service because if you weren't, you would have found somebody else. But you had been satisfied with their service. According to you, you paid them in advance or on the date of the delivery. On Labor Day, September 4th, you left your 12-year-old nephew there.
12, but...
Well, how old is he, 13?
He's 15.
So what? What's the difference?
Okay,
well, maybe he's 15 now. Maybe he wasn't in 2021. So the nephew said to you, we're not ready for water delivery now.
That's
Is that what you're saying? Now, your business have a phone?
Correct.
Did the plaintiff ever call you and say, I'm home now, I'm sorry, there was a mix-up?
No, so what happened, I showed up there, he wasn't ready for water. I told him, I go, that is...
What do you have to do to get ready for water?
For their purposes, I believe it was to try to use up as much as they can.
No, don't tell me what you believe. I want to know what you have to do to get ready for a water delivery. Do you have to open up a spigot? What do you have to do?
Okay, so basically they're holding tanks that are in basements or in the ground. So normally nobody even has to be there, 90% of our customers. This particular case, one of their tanks is in a basement, which doesn't have an alarm. So in order to fill their tank up, somebody has to be down there with a radio to radio up to us to know when to shut the water off.
Okay, so that would have had to have been the nephew who was between the ages of 12 and 15, would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you came onto the property, he said, we're not ready for a water delivery.
That's correct.
And he would have had to have been in the basement.
That's correct.
So you left.
Yes, correct.
What happened next?
Your Honor, I told him that it's not that big of a deal. I got a few more stops. I'm gonna go do those stops and then I'll come back. And then hopefully you'll be ready and your aunt would be ready for water at that time. So I went and did my 2 stops. So I used up another 4,000 gallons. I filled back up. Went back to their house. At this time, it was probably somewhere around 12. And again, he said, we're still not ready for water.
So you went back again at noon?
Between 12 and 1, I would say.
And the plaintiff wasn't home?
That's correct, again.
How many hours passed between the first delivery and the second?
It takes me about 45 minutes per stop, and I know I did about 2 stops, so about an hour and a half it took me before I was back there.
And for that hour and a half, she didn't come back. So it was either a very late breakfast or a very early lunch.
That's correct.
Okay, so now they go twice to deliver water to you, and you're not there, and neither is your check. So now you tell me what happened next.
Kyle called me. First, he doesn't have a phone, but we do have a business line. So he called me on the business line and told me that the driver just left. He goes, I don't know where he went. He said, I think
Who told?
Kyle.
Who was that?
I'm sorry, he's my nephew.
Your nephew called you. What time?
Well, our lunch is...
What? You went before lunch because he was there earlier in the morning.
We did not go before lunch. We went 12:30 to 2. The dogs always nap 12:30 to 2. Okay. We separated the dogs.
How many times did they?
We were
how many
5 minutes?
How many times did they come to your house to deliver water?
According to what I was told, I wasn't there. 2.
Well, that's what he says. He came twice. We haven't gotten to the third yet, but he came twice to your house and you weren't there.
Correct.
You're supposed to wait for a service. You're supposed to be there ready for the service. That would be on you. That's not on them, that's on you. They came when they were supposed to deliver water, and you weren't there, and you left somebody who was not equipped to deal with the situation in charge. And what happened was you didn't have water potentially over the holiday weekend because they were going away, so you had to scurry to find other water.
Correct.
That's what this case is about.
Caption coming up.
If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty.
Brenda smiles. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley claims business owner Amber Howard defamed her pet daycare business. Amber is countersuing for negative reviews Brenda made toward her business.
Okay, so according to you, a year later, you heard something about their business, so you wrote a negative something about their business on the internet. You'll tell me what that is in a moment. And in retaliation for that, they posted a negative comment about your business, alleging something that had to do with the animals. So that's what this case is about. Your use of the internet to make trouble. You, a year later, according to you, only posted one negative review, is that right?
Correct.
And that was a year later?
Yes. Do you want me to tell you why? Because they take the reviews down. You can't leave it.
All
I tried right away.
All I'm asking you is, I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, coulda. A year later, you posted a negative review about them. So I'd like to see the review and why you waited a year. You had had a full year of positive service from these people, and the day that you had a problem with them was your fault. I just determined that. It was your fault.
Okay.
So I want to see what you said about them.
Brenda produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
Miss Langley, so I read this thing. It says, funny how this shows up as a recommendation. Apparently, they took the rating system off their page. They were always shorting us on water for the pool. Well, you used them satisfactorily for a year. So I think that that's baloney.
We had a couple run-ins over it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. What is that about? Once when you complained about what?
About the pool being short on water.
Just what did your nephew have to do with them? Your nephew is hardly a teenager. What did your nephew have to do with discussing
Nothing,
things
really.
with the bro?
Nothing. He would help them sometimes bring the hose in and things like that, but he was just a helper every once in a while.
Well, what does that mean?
He didn't have anything to do with it.
Once when I complained, the driver said my nephew told him to stop. Video surveillance proved he was lying. No one ever approached him and no one spoke to him. I showed the owner the video and he didn't seem to care. The last straw was when the owner, that would be them, left for a holiday weekend and we had no water and low pool water. Well, that would be your fault. You don't say that here. It just makes it appear as if they left and left you high and dry, but they came at least twice, he's going to tell me a third time probably, to deliver water, and you weren't there. When my nephew asked if we could pay next week. He got in his truck and left. That's also your fault.
If you would have communicated, I could have brought the money. We were 5 minutes away.
Just a second. That puts the onus on them. Why weren't you there? This is all on you. This isn't on them. No conversation, no phone call, not even a curse word. I called his wife to find out what happened, and she said they were going out of town for the weekend. And you put in parentheses, too bad. Well, you're allowed to go out. You're allowed to go out for lunch when their delivery is coming without a check, but they're not allowed to go out for Labor Day for the weekend. I immediately called a competitor to bail us out. Thank God he took mercy on us and came out right away. We have had excellent service with the competitor ever since. It could have been catastrophic to try not just to live, but run a business with no water over the holiday weekend. You should have been home to get your delivery. And so,
can I say something?
Sure.
I always paid. They knew I was good for the money, and nobody has to be there when they deliver water. We don't watch them deliver water, except for maybe in the house, and Kyle was there to receive it.
Just a second. He just told me that one of the water tanks is in the basement. Somebody has to be there in the basement in your house. If your preteen or post-teen nephew was on the telephone, didn't want to be bothered at that moment, that ain't his fault. That's your fault that you left somebody incompetent when you were supposed to get a water delivery. All I'm saying to you is, this is nasty a year later. Nasty. And for no reason. I don't hear a reason why this a year later. You want to tell me?
I had heard about some bad business practices, so it got me upset again. So I decided to look and find a way to put a review on. They had taken their reviews off the page. So immediately I wanted to put a review on there, but they have it down as a recommendation.
Who cares?
So that's when I left.
I just still don't understand why a year later you stir this up. So for a year, you were getting water from a competitor. You cut off their system. They seem to be still surviving. You're still in business?
Yes. Yeah.
They're in business without you. You're in business without them.
Right.
Okay. So this is nasty. Okay. Now, as a result of being nasty, they wrote a review about you, which is why you're here.
Yes.
About your business.
Yes.
May I see that review?
About her statement saying that she only gave us one bad review, we have proof that we have multiple bad reviews, not just the one, over that course of a year and a half.
May I see, and I'd like to see them. Did you write more than one negative review? Okay, I'm going to take a look at them.
That's what I posted.
Amber produces a document.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is what I posted right here. I gave you the wrong copy.
She hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy for review.
Oh, well, this is a different one where you say last water haulers suggested we had to kiss whatever or they would not show. They rarely answered a call or a text in a timely manner. I was even late to a party posted at my home. I had zero water and couldn't shower, couldn't get in touch with anybody. The last straw was Friday. They dropped us on a holiday weekend and said that they would see us on Tuesday.
I don't think that was a review, Your Honor.
Was this not a review?
I don't believe so.
No, it wasn't a review. It was a comment. It was a comment. Mm-hmm. It was still out there, alive, out there.
Caption, coming up.
So it was really a tit for tat. You got tired?
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
Brenda and Amber grin. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brenda and Amber and her husband.
Brenda Langley has accused business owner Amber Howard of defaming her pet daycare business. Amber claims Brenda created negative reviews a year after their dispute ended.
I'm looking to see what you posted about her.
He's got it.
You go, Judge.
Kevin hands a document to Judy, who reviews it.
Okay, so you posted this on October the 30th, and this is on a Facebook?
Yes.
We used to supply water for the puppy pool here 3 times a week, and our drivers witnessed on multiple occasions the staff mistreating dogs in their care. They would see on multiple occasions dog feces in the pool before they would fill it up. We were going to send our dog there before we knew all this, but I told our dog was too small and they could not accommodate him. Now that I know the kind of business they run, I'm thankful I kept my pet out of their care. I would think twice before sending your beloved pet there. And then Lucky Puppy, that would be you, Funny, I just gave you a poor review on your page. The difference is our review was true. Your review is defamation of character. You can remove your untrue statements or you can be sued. Your choice. So now I'm going to ask you sort of the same question. The incident happened on Labor Day of 2021. October 30th, and that would be of 2022?
Correct.
So between the time that they ceased to be customers of yours and a year later, what happened that caused you to write this negative review?
So as you can see in the evidence I gave you, she all the time was just saying negative things about our business. We never had said anything about her business.
Just a second. So the answer was it was tit for tat.
Correct.
It was tit for tat. She was writing negative reviews about your business. So you wrote, which I just determined were untrue. So you wrote a negative review about her business.
Correct.
A year later. I mean, if you were really concerned about the pets, you would have written it immediately. So it was really a tit for tat. You
Correct.
got tired.
She wrote that review on my page, so I decided to write a true review about her page.
Perfect. So did I get that all right? Good. A pox on both your houses.
May I say something, please?
Sure.
So what she accused us of is illegal.
Just a second.
We have to keep sanitary conditions, and we have to.
Just a second. How do I know that one of their drivers didn't report seeing feces in the pool? How do I know that?
I've been there before and asked them why they didn't need water that currently week, that they're going to need it, the 2,000 gallons on Wednesday like they normally do. And he said, we just had to get the dogs out just because we realized there was feces in there. They said it happens a few times a year. So it was not a statement.
Whatever. It's their business, madam. Just like this is your business. If you run a dirty place,
I don't know. That's the whole thing.
Just a second.
My statements were true.
They don't run an irresponsible business. In your reviews, you're suggesting that they are irresponsible and also thieves, because in one of your reviews, you say they were shorting us on water.
Yes, they were.
That's what you say. And you said it not only a year later, you said it during the course of the year. And it was their business. Their business is as important to them as yours is to you. So if you're going to weaponize these reviews, then you both deserve what you got. You're not supposed to do that. If you were legitimately concerned about the dogs, you would have reported it right away. What this was tit for tat, so you deserve each other. Claim and counterclaim are dismissed. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Brenda, then Amber and her husband.
My thing was that they accused us of breaking the law, and it was totally untrue. My statements were true. Whether they were in the wrong or not, they were true statements, and hers were complete fabrication.
I mean, we had been dealing with it for about a year and a half, so I was just really shocked when I received the paperwork in the mail, since I did delete the review, since she did threaten to sue me, so I did delete it.
Look at reviews, and if you can't find them, go somewhere else.
I wanted both of us to be successful businesses, because we live in a small community and our businesses do not, we're not in direct competition with each other. So I wish her well, and I would hope she would wish our business well.
Judy and Sarah.
People like me just learn to look at a restaurant and see what the reviews are. And you sort of assume that people of goodwill, if they're going to post something that's negative, it's because they had a negative experience. And I think it's such a shame that it's become a way to weaponize legitimate reviews where somebody, the plaintiff in this case, had absolutely no clue that the problem on Labor Day was her fault.
Yeah.
She had a perfectly reasonable relationship with them for over a year. She said they paid him in advance. She never said anything about shorting water.
It's just the power of the internet. I mean, now today, I know there are people that will cancel businesses for reasons completely unrelated to the business, but if you act out, you say the wrong thing, you display a negative character trait in public, people will go to your business's page completely unrelated to anything in the business and just flood the page. I'm talking thousands. They will get thousands of people to write bad reviews about a business, especially if something went viral or if the owners of the business, if they were in a viral video that was not nice. It's the power of the internet and cancel culture.
Well, the internet can be a tool for good and wonderful, or as we know, it can be a very dark place.
Yep.
But it can't be a very dark place without mean-spirited or bad people. And there are mean-spirited and bad people. You know, I don't know how you protect yourself from something like that. I really don't know how you protect
The
yourself.
consumer has to be smart in reading the reviews and how much weight they're giving reviews. I like when businesses respond to especially the negative reviews. And sometimes they're funny because if the defendants had responded to the plaintiff's review publicly, you know, so people like you and I who were thinking about using them for water delivery could see it, they'd say, oh, interesting. We called twice and you weren't home and you didn't have our money.
That's the response.
And so I like to see that because it calls out the person who left the negative review. But obviously there's downsides to a business. You don't want to get into a back and forth with every person that leaves a negative review. But sometimes when it's warranted,
you respond to it. But the response isn't to post a negative review about you.
Exactly.
You're right.
Title, Judy Justice.
Have you been cheated? Go to judyjustice.tv.
আজকে কি মনে হয় হ্যাকার পড়ে নাকি ভাই এখন হ্যাকার আমি খেলাম না
আমাদের লবিতে তো প্রতিদিন এই কালকে ভাই আজম গেমিং পড়ছিল বুঝছেন পরশুদিন
পিসি লবিতে রেগুলার রাতে খেলে ভিউয়ার্স পড়বই
রাতে না দুপুরের দিকে খেলছিলাম